Hi Hive, it's Hillary here. I'm trying a different media because for some reason Facebook isn't posting these this week. So this is why it's late. We are here on week 5 of our venture through the I am statements of the Gospel of John. These are the statements that Jesus made to describe himself and the love of God that he has come to spread to this world. This week is I am the Good Shepherd. It is from John 10 through 11. This is absolutely Jesus continuing his metaphor from the week before, where he said, "I am the gate for the sheep," so the sheep gate, and he continues this metaphor to draw in us further into understanding just how he plans on taking care of us both here and now. As the Good Shepherd, he differentiates himself from the religious leaders of the day, probably a lot of the religious leaders today as well, as those who are trying to lead for their own personal gain, shall we say. That can include manipulating people. That can include trying to use religion to make money. That can be maybe most likely in what we see today, using religion to gain power and influence, perhaps even at the expense of ethical teaching and living. So Jesus is having none of that. He's describing himself as the Good Shepherd who is unlike thieves and unlike the hired hands. He will stay with the sheep, protecting them even to the end. And then he takes it a step further and describes his role even beyond the end, that there is, as he describes it in this passage, there are more sheep that do not yet belong to this flock, and he must go and get them and make one flock for the whole sheep. And I think what's beautiful about this is that Jesus is putting the onus on himself to be the one to go and bring the sheep in. The sheep, of course, being people. The beauty of this here is that it's unlike what we sometimes hear from different Christian denominations. It's not about somebody in this lifetime getting something perfectly right or saying the perfect prayer or giving their life over to Jesus in just the right way. The onus, in fact, is on Jesus making sure that everybody who wants to come into relationship with this loving Father, with this loving God, will have the ability to do so. I think that stretches well beyond our concept of even time. Since Jesus talks about in this passage the way that he comes not just to have this lifetime, but actually to go beyond this lifetime into the resurrection, he's trying to describe the fact that death itself is no longer something that's going to stop us from having a relationship with God and with Christ if we want that. It's a beautiful invitation that extends beyond this life, even into the life that goes eternally, that the invitation to come to know this Good Shepherd is not limited by our own imagination or the gates that we put up around what we say God's love is, but rather Jesus puts the gates, opens the gates wide, and then even goes out to make sure everybody who wants in can be in. A beautiful, wonderful, joyous message from this I am statement. All right, see you soon. Thanks, Hive.